Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Meet the Author, presented by the Burdell Family Foundation. My name is Walter Burdell. I have my sister, the lovely Miss Shakur Ellison, with me here this evening. We're going to do a little bit of a tag team tonight on our hosting duties. We truly do thank everyone for joining us. We have a very, very special guest, someone dear to all of our hearts, someone who has eaten at our table and enjoyed a couple of laughs and cry and tears with us. We have our very good friend, Mr. Ben Meadows. How you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, man, I'm doing wonderful,
Hello.
man. How y'all doing?
Awesome. How are you, sweetie?
I am phenomenal. Couldn't be better. I mean, after an introduction like that, I think that's the best. Eating, laughing, crying at the table. Man, listen.
I mean, you did put that in there that you been eating at our table, right?
Right.
On several occasions.
I don't want to tell everybody business, but that man make the best potato soup I've ever had in my life. And I'm a fat kid. So.
I haven't had any potato soup in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I might have to make some this weekend.
No, yeah, don't tease me. Don't tease me. I'm too far away.
So, Mr. Van, or Poetic, as you are known in the poetry world, how are you doing? You said that all is going well with you?
Absolutely. Everything is going well. I can't complain. My God is faithful and he is awesome. So I ain't got nothing to complain about.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. So tonight we're doing our Meet the Author session, and tonight is going to be about poetry. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Ebony Collection?
Absolutely. Well, born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. That's home. I've been transplanted here in the Carolinas, South Carolina. Father of 5, 3 boys, 2 girls. Ranges from the age 25 down to 3. They're my pride and joy. Anyone knows me know that I fight for my kids. So the Ebony Collection started as my vision of poetry for people of color. The hue ebony, from the lightest shade to the darkest shade, begins at white and then goes to the deepest, darkest brown. So my poetry is for everyone. Various different topics, various subjects. It just depends on what your interests are and what you're looking for. And there are 3 volumes right now, volumes 4 and 5. I hope to release this year. They will be released together. So I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, you said 25. Like, is my baby 25?
It'll be 25 in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, which also means that you have a birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, right?
That is correct. I will be a ripe old 47. Yes.
Oh, you're telling your age. You old. Well, happy early birthday to you.
Thank you.
Yes, happy birthday.
Out of my age.
But you know, it's rough for you. It's just as bad as me. You got a 3-year-old, brother.
Yeah.
We got a long way to. I know. I got mine as young too. I'm not judging. I'm just letting him know that I feel his pain, because we got a long road ahead of us, especially when he didn't already got over that hump for at least one. You said 25.
25,
so.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So let's see here. So we have the Ebony Collection, volume 3. You mentioned this is the 3rd volume. Pain, suffering, and pulchritude. Where does that come from? Like, how did you come up with that title? Let's start there.
Oh, well, that title is reminiscent of everything that I've been through in terms of when I was writing this book. I wrote this book in the midst of a second divorce. So there was a lot of pain there. And then the suffering component if you've ever been stripped away from your kids, you feel like Christ when he's on that cross and he was suffering that pain. So there's that suffering. And then, of course, pulchritude is just a fancy word meaning beauty, because there's beauty after every trial and tribulation, as long as you adhere to what God is trying to say to you. So that's where that comes from.
That's deep.
That
is deep. All right. So I'm going to take it that volume 3 is different from volumes 1 and volume 2. You did mention that you wrote this while going through a second divorce. But I look at your dedication in this particular book, and you dedicate this to your mother.
Absolutely.
Cynthia Bounds. I did not get to meet her, but she's raised a beautiful set of children. I've met your brothers and your sisters. Tell us a little bit about that. You said that at the age of 14, you kind of had to step up and raise your brothers and your sisters. You were the oldest of how many?
4. The oldest of 4. It's a bittersweet moment, very sad moment. My grandmother, whom I was staying with when I was 14, because she was very sick, and she also passed in the same year. She died in my arms at 14. So I called my mother, and my mother was like, "Okay, well, just go with them to the hospital. I'll meet you there." So me and my mother had a very tumultuous relationship. It wasn't a typical mother-son type bond. I stayed with my grandmother by choice because I preferred to be with my grandmother, because me and my mother, we were combative. We butted heads a lot. But she's the ultimate inspiration of me being the man who I am, because I saw so much strength in her. And, that night that she went to the hospital, she woke me up out of my sleep. Probably like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Me and my brother's a year younger than me. And she said to me, well, make sure you take care of the kids. My brother's like, okay, well, and I'm like, Mom, you'll be back. I'll sleep, I was a kid. And that was the last time I saw my mother. She didn't come back. She was gone for like weeks before she actually passed away. One of her lungs collapsed in the hospital. She had asthma, and one of her lungs collapsed in the hospital, and they couldn't save her.
Mm.
So everything that I do is a dedication to her. Everything.
Well, definitely our condolences to you. And I've said it before, in the passing of your mother and what you have gone through. My question to you is, which one of these poems is really dedicated to your mother? Is there one particular poem in volume 3 that's, I know the whole book is, but do we have?
Yeah, the very first poem is basically titled "A Word from a True Motherless Child." That one is definitely dedicated to her, without question.
Do you mind if Sugar reads a couple of lines from that poem?
I don't mind at all, please.
Ooh. And did he go there with the nickname? Like,
I'm sorry,
I mean, I know we family everything, but okay, sir.
At least I didn't call you number 2. So.
Yeah, at least you didn't call me number 2. A
Right.
word from, and I pray that I do this some type of justice. It's a word from a true motherless child. I was forced to learn the truth from my youth. As a young adolescent, I never had time spent distant from her, the one who birthed me from the womb. A controllable rage built from my teenage stage. No one could understand how it was God's plan. He took a raw child and gave him a boldness to be wild. The mere thought of passion being diminished by my aggression. I sought the truth even though I knew it from my youth training. As a teen, I never had a chance to come clean. I had so much to say, yet I will never see the day. My children will never get to know, even as they grow. A void fills my heart that I hold in a poisonous dart. My vast existence compels me to persistence. Failure was never an option, only a small caption, an object of my desire to be reminded of the fire. Oh my gosh, like this. And not just at a couple of lines, but it almost like it compels you to just keep going on and on and on. Like this is really, truly deep. And I can only imagine again, you know, what pain you were. So this is the pain part of volume 3.
I see a lot of I'm gonna try to use this big word, pulchritude, in that poem as well. I'm listening to it and I'm trying to be on the edge of my seat and catch what she says and trying to write notes so that I can ask you and talk to you. But I love one part you just said, how it was God's plan. And I'm reminded how God knew us before we were conceived in our mother's wombs.
That's
And
right.
so it just reminds me that the beauty of it is that even though your children don't get to meet the actual lady, they still get to meet the substance of what she left behind, and not only you but in your siblings. So I see both the pain and the beauty in your suffering in just that first poem. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I like that, my brother. I do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was part of the intent. You know,
awesome. I will say this: the last line of this poem says, "I hope I make you proud. I am learning to stand out from the crowd." Again, I've never met Miss Cynthia, but I can assure you, sir, just from the man that I know, and just reading this, you have truly made her proud, and I'm sure you continue to do that. So, as some of our viewers are saying, you better speak, sir. I don't know if that was for the poem, if that was for Walter. But they're saying you better speak. But yes, you have truly made her proud. This is wow. This is good. So I'm just flipping through and I'm looking at some of them, and you have one in here entitled "Who Am I?" Who are you? You know?
Who
or is that
are
one
you?
that we need to put that description that we do have for those of you who are joining us? Let me just say this, that tonight's episode of Meet the Author, again, this disclaimer is going to go out, is for the grown and sexy. Okay. So we are the Bridell Foundation, the Bridell Family Foundation. We have had other shows that are catered to our children and our youth. But this is for the grown and sexy. Okay. So if you're not 18, please turn off YouTube and Facebook or YouTube and Facebook. Because I think we might get into a couple of them. So I don't know. So we have Carrie says that's a good one! Exclamation point. Who am I? Talk to me about who am I? I mean, is this describing who you are as a poet, as a man?
Who am I? Who am I forced me to take a hard look at myself. From prior to me writing the poem up until I wrote the poem, looking in the mirror every day, identifying exactly who am I. And then in the piece, I'm actually pretty transparent because I talk about the things that I've done, the things that I've been through, the things that I've caused. And in essence, just letting you know that, look, this is who I am. I'm a writer, I'm a poet, but I'm still a man. I'm still flawed. But every day, I try to overcome those flaws.
Yeah, that right there, I'm still flawed. I think we all, if we're honest with ourselves, have to admit that we're flawed.
Yes.
So yes, who am I? Awesome. A real man, huh?
Yeah,
a real man. So I'm just flipping through and grabbing some of the titles that I'm just, for those of us who don't have a copy of The Mind of Poetic, I'm flipping through this phenomenal book here, and that's another one that just that title in itself grabbed my attention.
Yeah. A real man, huh? Is that was definitely written from a place of pain. And just from the title, you can kind of figure that I'm basically saying, oh, you want a real man, huh? But let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. So, that one has become several people's favorites. It's often requested sometimes when I do radio shows. Some people just love hearing that piece. But yeah, that one is pretty. It can be pretty painful to the woman reading it who has told the man that they need somebody else, so they need a real man. It can be pretty painful to that woman.
Yeah. It can, so I have not reading that poem, but a real man, huh?
Yeah.
And I can imagine how you have to convey just the title of a real man, huh?
Right.
So,
right.
I can imagine the pain and the depth of the. I gotta read that poem.
Yeah. That's a good one. Because when I read it, there's a level of pain, but there's also a level of sarcasm that comes with it, and it's a very subtle sarcasm. It's very subtle. You'll catch it, but man, every real man needs to read that.
It's funny because and I'm trying not to get too personal with with my brother, but you say that it hits home for those us women who says that we want a real man. So the first line says, "I love the way you say you want a real man." Be careful what you ask for. It's kind of what I get from this.
Yes. Yes.
You want a real man. Like, do you know what you're really asking for? So, okay. Yeah. So we're gonna step away from pain for a little bit. And let's go pain, suffering, and pulchritude. Which one of these poems will you say has is the pulchritude portion? Because the poems that I've been picking so far have come from that pain. So I'm gonna let you tell me, sir.
Before I do that, is it okay if I address Kamara's question? She says,
Yeah, okay.
How do I find the inspiration to write? Honestly, I write every day. Everything in life, everything around me, every emotion, every experience, everything that someone else has gone through inspires me to write. I can hear a random conversation and maybe I'll hear a few words that'll inspire me to write. Music inspires me to write. God, who is the ultimate writer, inspires me to write. There is nothing that I can do in my day that I don't write. Many of you know or don't know that back in January, I actually had COVID. And for 3 weeks, I wasn't able to write. I wasn't able to recite poetry for shortness of breath. And that bothered me. And I said, God, why do you have me here? He said, so I can continue being the only inspiration that you need to write.
Come on now.
All right. I like that.
So my inspiration comes from God, and God creates everything around us. I can look at a blank wall and see something beautiful about it to write about.
So poetry with you? Is it something that you have to write it and critique it and make it neat and pretty, or are you more of that? Sometimes you just gotta, as they would say, freehand it and just let the mind hit the pad. What is your what is your way of going at writing something like the Ebony Collection?
The second part of what you said, freehand. Um, when I get a thought, I just go with it, and however God gives me the words, I just use it. Um, I don't critique it. If I write a poem and I don't recite, I won't recite it. You know, I'll just write it, and then the first time I recite it is the first time that you get the raw emotion of the first time that I recite that particular piece. Um, I never critique my writing, because to me, your art is your art, and either they're going to love it or they're going to hate it. I write for me. My fans, my peers, my audience, they're the beneficiaries of my writing, because I really write for me. I write for me to release a whole lot of things, but you guys are the beneficiaries because you get to hear it, you get to enjoy it, you get to critique it. Me, I just write it because it comes from a place. It comes from a place deep within me. So I write it freehand. You know, if I get a topic, it's still going to be freehand, even though the topic is what the topic is. I just get the words and I just start writing.
Okay. Okay.
Sakura,
So
so you asked me where was the beauty in the book. There's a
I'm
piece
flipping
in the
through.
book. There's a piece in the book called Perfectly Flawed. And to me, that is one of the most beautifulest pieces in the book, because I'm talking about me being a flawed individual, but I'm perfectly flawed, meaning that God made me and he knew I was going to be flawed, but he loved me in spite of all my flaws. And some people can't even love you enough, even when you're flawed. But God loves you when you're flawed,
In spite
Mm,
of.
in
in
spite.
spite of.
In
Kwanzaa
spite
says,
of.
God is the inspiration that did something to my spirit. Sir, I'm flipping and I'm trying to find this piece that you're speaking of now. And some of your
Page
poems are longer than others. Um,
page
Perfectly
77.
fall. Oh, thank you. Page 77.
You better know your book, sir.
Perfectly flawed. All right. My imperfections need to completely fall. Each drip strips away a new layer of my flaw. The puddle on the floor is the shedding of my ego. That must die so my power can rise and let go. Let go of all the parts of me that makes me me. True power resides deep within. What happens when you begin a journey you travel alone to find the new you, the only problem that seems true. A reflection in the mirror tells you you're weak. I'm certain the strength within will peak. So what? I'm perfectly flawed. Every step of life to this point made me perfectly flawed. I challenge myself daily to stop holding in a beast. The mighty can't handle what's on my chest. When tested by fire and pressured, the impurities are stripped away and cured. I embrace the flaws. It helps me keep in the claws, but I'm beginning a journey seemingly alone. At the end of the day, I love my solo zone. It keeps the ego in check, so power ascends. Perfectly flawed keeps me humble and ends a level of selfishness to make way of flawlessness.
Thank you. Thank
Perfectly flawed. Uh, I read your poems and it's almost like I'm reading them for the first time, like the true meaning that's in here. We've got some comments coming from our audience. And by all means, to those of you, if this is your first time joining a Meet the Author session, please drop your questions for Poetic, so that he can hear from you. Wow, that was Poetry is Life. And
yes.
I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Steaming hot.
Yes.
Do I need to skip over that one, or are we want to talk about steaming hot? Can we talk about steaming hot? Where does that come from? And remember, we're on.
Absolutely. Steamy hot comes from ultimately a place of passion as a man. Certainly being married before, there's certain things that are steamy hot. And I honestly feel that no one should ever hide who they are, married or unmarried. You should always be you. And in my writings, I'm always me. So yes, I write erotic poetry as well. And Steamy Hot is one of those erotic type pieces that will have you steamy hot.
Okay. And we're gonna leave it at that. Here goes the sizzle. We're gonna try to keep the sizzle out of it, man. As much as possible. I see that we in here we've got one that's called Aries Goddess, and the Aries King. Mm-hmm. Are these two in relation to one another?
They are. Certainly being fire signs. Every male and female component of the zodiac has a king and a queen. I'm into astrology. I pay attention. There are those that believe that astrology and religion don't mix. Well, I'm so glad I don't deal with religion and I deal with the relationship. So the freedom to be able to not allow the astrology to sway me away from who God is and who God truly is. I'll write from my zodiac vein of an Aries king. And Aries Goddess is the same. That Aries Goddess is how I see the Aries woman and the Aries man. So king and queen. Awesome. I mean, I can't write about the Pisces queen or the Leo queen because I'm neither one of those signs. I can write about having dated them, but I can't write about who they are intrinsically. Yeah.
We got a question.
I see you, Leo.
So Carrie, Baby Love Kenny says, what is your biggest challenge when deciding what you put out?
My biggest challenge on deciding what I put out is checking with God first. Because I certainly want God to be pleased with me, right? So the challenge becomes, God, are you going to be okay with me putting this out? Are you going to be okay with me putting this into the atmosphere? And I was reminded that in having a conversation with God, Paul said that it doesn't matter what way I have to be. As long as I'm able to present the gospel of Christ, I will be whatever you need me to be. If you need me to be Jewish, I will be a Jewish. If you need me to be whatever, I will be that. So me as a poet allows me to enter into venues where I can ultimately show them who Christ is. That's my God. So God, I said, okay. I said, well, okay, I'm going to be okay with it. And as long as I'm not using it to my advantage to create a level of sin and I'm walking in that sinful nature, then certainly I'm okay with putting it out. And I'm a writer. So as a writer, that's my profession. I'm a writer. So it doesn't identify my relationship with God. I just write. My relationship with God is solid. I have no problem with that. So, but I do check with him about stuff that I put out into the atmosphere, because it's important to me that, one, people understand who I am, what it is I do, but ultimately that they have the right relationship with God, because I don't want to see anybody condemned to hell. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that kind of leads into Kamara's question that she just posted. Do you run into judgment because you are a believer who writes erotic pieces?
Of course. But ask me, do I care? No. 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 As a matter of fact, I often say that if the church would have more of these type discussions around eroticism, you probably would have a lot of married couples still married and not divorced. There probably would
Come on with it.
There probably would not be a whole lot of division in the church. You probably wouldn't have these roles that are male dominated versus female dominated, because you've created a free forum where we could talk about these things. And now, guess what? You've captured your youth between the ages of 13 to 18, that gap where you actually lose the church, and then we have to wait for them to come back. If you talk to them now and you show them what's happening in the world, they're better equipped, they are ready, and then they'll be able to handle themselves
with it. Yeah.
Because
yes,
in temptation, God makes a way of escape.
Always. Always.
And if I'm that way of escape by at least sitting them down and talking to them about what they're going to face, because a lot of them kids don't want to hear you've been through this, you've been through that. No, because they're going through it. So the church can judge, but God is the judge.
I like how you started.
Let me be judged. Yes.
I like how you started that. It all goes back. No worries. It all goes back to the relationship, not the religion. Because so if you know me, so Christian is to be Christ-like.
Come on.
Which means that you're supposed to be trying to be like him. We have taken that word Christian and now we connotate it with going to church on Sunday in your best outfit and making sure you were there on, as we used to call them, CME days. But that's not what it entails. Jesus walked and talked with everybody. He didn't shun Mary because she was a little promiscuous. She didn't shun Peter because he cut the man's ear off.
Nope.
Most of the people he dealt with on a regular basis was the kind of people who we are, us, as you said, those perfectly flawed individuals who, if we just stay with them a little bit longer, we could be how'd you say, flawlessly perfect.
Yes,
so
yes. Yes. I mean, it's I just having this conversation with somebody that Jesus wanted to be with the sinners.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the comments, and I have to go back before I do this one, because Brittany says, aren't we supposed to have these relations with our spouses? So why is it frowned upon to discuss? And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what just had me laughing is somebody said, well, I'm not somebody, but Miss Jones says, the Bible says that the bedroom is undefiled. Flip them tricks, sis.
That's right. And see, when you ask me about erotic poetry and what I write, I quickly ask them, have you read the Song of Solomon? Have you read it?
I was going to say, I was going to ask. I was going to bring it up.
Like,
have
you read this where Solomon talks about milk of flowing honey from your breast? Have you read this?
Her mounds was like two hilltops.
I mean, listen. Today we just use more colorful words.
Yes.
We just use more colorful words. But if you want to be perfect, if you want to be right, the King James Version has evolved into all of these new versions because we wanted to use more colorful words for people to understand. Hello.
Okay. All right.
So that people can understand.
Hello.
I like that.
So makes me lose control. My heart beats and pounds in my chest. My blood and emotions gets no rest. Just when I reach my boiling point, soul to soul creativity anoint my mind with more words to say, even as I drop by to say, I'm glad to be a part, and wow, this how I feel soul to soul just now.
Yes.
Just now.
Just now. That's a very artsy piece. It's one of those where I often say that there are times when my pen writes, and then there are times when my heart writes. That's one of the times when my pen was writing, because it's pure poetry. I mean, pure poetry. When I think of pure poetry, I think of Edgar Allan Poe, Shakespeare, pure poetry, where you take a thing and you just make it so beautiful, you make it so elegant, you make it just sound so like, oh my God, can you just keep reading that? Can you say more of that? That's when the pen writes. But when the heart writes from emotion, from experience. And you can tell the difference in my writings when the pen write versus the heart write, and that one is one that the pen wrote.
How do you come up with your titles? I'm flipping through, and Vanilla Handcuffs.
Vanilla Handcuffs came from the picture that's in the book, the handcuffs. Vanilla was because the picture itself. Certainly, I did this book in all black and white. But
this picture here?
Yes, that one. Yes. The picture itself has this overlaying vanilla tone to it. Everything in the room is vanilla colored except the handcuffs. And that's where that title comes from.
Okay. And your other titles, how do you, I was just looking at that one when I called that one, but your titles just in general, how do you come up with them? I mean, let me rephrase. Do you come with the title first and then the piece, or do you come with the piece and then the title?
Always with the piece and then the title. Probably about 95% of my work is written before there's a title. And once I'm done writing, my title will either come from a few lines of the first verses or the last lines of the verse. Or it just depends on what I'm feeling after I'm done writing it. Because after I'm done writing a piece, whatever that feeling is that made me write it, sometimes becomes the title.
Carrie says no, the pen writes first. Yes. I've read a couple of your pieces as we're sitting here and we're talking, and you gave us a pick of that you had. What other piece really resonates with you? Give me another Vance pick, and let me see if I can do it some justice.
Wow, there is a piece in there that I absolutely adore. Yeah, there are two pieces that I adore, but this one I adore the most. And if you go to page, I believe it's on page 53. It's called Protection, and I'll give you the background of that piece. It's actually alluding to the book that I'm writing, the relationship book that I'm writing. Protection. There's a reason why Eve was taken from Adam's rib. Because the rib cage itself by design is to protect the vital organs. So Eve's job as his helpmate was to protect his vital organs. So every time a man gets involved with a woman that he truly cares for, that he identifies with, and he labeled her as his rib, the moment she hurts him, she is not doing what she was designed to do, which is to protect his vital organs. So that's very important to me, that a woman realizes that your role to your man is, yes, is his helpmate, but it's also to protect his vital organs. So that's where that piece comes from. How to protect the man's vital organs is what she was supposed to do. And if you fail at that, you've left him exposed. You left him vulnerable. You've left him in a position to be hurt. Henceforth, she didn't protect his vital organs when she decided to disobey God and do what Satan wanted her to do first. And see, Adam wasn't strong enough in him as being a man to say, no, that's not what I'm going to do. See, Adam was very serious about that other thing that she had, that once he got a taste of, he just couldn't get enough of. So he did what she said to do. As a man, you got to obey God. But as a woman, you obey God, but you also protect your man at all costs. You don't leave him vulnerable. You don't leave his organs open to be exposed and damaged by the world, because that's what we're fighting. When you're in your house, that's your safe haven. But when you go out, the moment he steps outside that door, he is vulnerable and exposed unless you cover him. So you as a woman, you shouldn't be trying to figure out, now that he gone, what you going to do for the day. How can you go out here and be with somebody else? How can you plan how to get away from him? That's what conversations are for. Protect him. Protect him. See, we talk about these roles of the man as the provider, the protector. He most certainly is. But the woman has a protection role as well. How do I know this? Because God took her from his rib.
And he preaches.
Is it time to pass the plate?
And he preaches too.
Is it time to pass the plate? Like, it's. I love that you say that, because I've never thought of it that way. But we are his protection, and the big facts. Yes, Kamara, big facts.
Because I mean, realistically, think about it. Why is it that you all know something that another woman is going to do before they do it? Come on. Well, I knew she was going to like you the moment that she looked at you like that. But we as men got to listen to that protection. We got to listen.
A rippling effect, dripping wet, succulent moisture, craving torture, body temperature rising, ice melting, steamy, hot session, ice cold passion, living out fantasy, blissful ecstasy, body shivering, water rippling down your stomach, nails gripping fact, fictional obsession, mesmerizing fashion, ice cold passion, boiling restoration, a trail of pleasure, simple treasure, glistening taste, grabbing waist, pause delicious creation for ice cold passion.
As she was reading that poem, I was. I need y'all to think back to your very first time. you know, and then what she thought about the first time, they just started coming and that passion. Yeah, that's how that one got me going. So, so clearly, we know where your thought was with that one. Was so you said you write with your pen and you write with your heart.
Sure. So which one wrote
Was
that
that
one?
harder too? Yeah. Was that harder too?
That one was pen. That was the pen. Because the other thing that I desire to do is show you that erotic is not distasteful.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see in that piece, there was not an ounce of disrespectful wording. It was very tasteful. It's something that you can identify with. So if you wanted to read that in church, you could. Absolutely. But the pen decided to write that. Because if the heart had decided to write that, I probably would have went back, like my brother said, went back to the first time and then started writing that piece.
Brittany is asking if the author is going to bless us with the poem before he leaves. So absolutely, sir. If you would bless us with the poem.
How about I go ahead and I do protection?
The floor is yours.
My heart is enclosed by my ribcage. God separated one of them before this age. He put me to sleep so it would be painless, rendered me unconscious and useless, to give me something so beautiful. Her that came from me, how delightful. When I awoke and saw her, her eyes and lips I will always remember, for the day she was created. Our destinies already related. The soul of a man governed by the protection of a woman. My heart is forever hers, and I'm her he-man. See, only God knew the importance of something he designed, so uniquely intertwined. My rib and my protection, how can she be the very thing of deception? Intricately, she already knows me inside and out, for she is me all throughout. My heart is misled and unguarded, because she forgot her position, retarded. Retarded to just sit back and watch one rib destroy the rest of the body, no ad lib. Just spoken words for a special kind of protection from someone of complete perfection. Hold fast to your inner spirit, because her words will challenge you when you hear it. Protection covers me. Protection desires me. So tell me, my queen, why do you live to destroy the heart when your job from the very start was to protect my heart by our creator? Selfish desires became the denominator. And that's that piece.
Yes.
I like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this for number 2?
Say what now?
Is this for number 2?
You want a second one?
No. I'm saying protection. Was protection written for number 2?
Yeah. I try to forget those things, but yes, ma'am. yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
But and I get it. You want to forget the pain and the suffering, but it's the pain and the suffering that makes us who we are. It's the pain and the suffering that brought us volume 3.
That is
so as much as we might want to forget, that plays a part.
But you know,
thank you.
I don't know. Forget maybe not. Because it makes you wiser. It makes you more cautious. It makes you see things that you were one time blinded to. Because you know what it is like to have lost what you thought was protection. You then know to see good protection for bad protection. Because I want talking to you. Siri tried to get in on everything, I tell you. So, Where was I? So like you pay attention more is what I'm trying to say. Is what I got from that. And why you don't want to forget that even though she was supposed to protect you, you still have to protect yourself, and in turn, it's a cycle.
Right.
The protection I'm getting from that, because you protect her, but in turn, she protects you. You protect her from the big bad wolf, but she's supposed to protect you from the snake in the grass.
No,
Wow.
she protect you from Little Red Riding Hood. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. She protects you from Little Red Riding Hood. She say, look, on your way to grandmother's house, don't make no special stops.
Don't make no stops. Just go on where you're supposed to be and come on.
Go to grandmother's house. Carrie says it definitely shifts your perspective. And what you go through, it does. I'm looking through, and you have an interlude, and it says, now you've been inside the mind of Poetic. It's not beautiful and simplistic, totally energetic, inspired by simple logic, tastefully explicit, and fantastic.
Yes.
It's not beautiful sometimes, and it's not simplistic. But this is definitely tastefully explicit, and fantastic. This is volume 3. So we've got volume 1 and volume 2. And you mentioned 4 and 5? Or was that just a side conversation with you and I that I know about 4 and 5?
No, absolutely. I'm very excited about 4 and 5. Volume 4 is probably going to have the church come at me. And I welcome it, because volume 4 is the Ebony Collection, the erotic pen. So it is completely erotic. There will be something levels from intermediate to extreme. And book number 5 is going to be the love book. And the two of them are going to be released together because they will play off of each other. Meaning that there'll be a poem in the erotic book about love that you'll have to finish in the love book. And there'll be an erotic piece in the love book that you'll have to finish in the erotic book. But erotic and love goes hand in hand.
And then,
right? So you can't have you can have one without the other, but when it comes to relationship, you need them both. Because I need to desire you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm back.
Yeah.
So erotic, if done right, will have somebody falling in love with you. Will have the person you're with be in love with you. Will have you in love with them. Because erotic starts from the moment you open your eyes. Everything around you is erotic. It can be from the moment that you look at her just laying in bed. It can be when you wake up before she do, and you just watch her just laying there. And love. Oh my God. I love love. Like, love is everything. Everything. Without it, you honestly have nothing. Now, it's tough for me because I'm very cautious about love. I don't use the words I love you unless I really mean it. And that's very important, because I just told someone the other day, I said, look, listen, matter of fact, I was on a show. I said, just make sure that the person that you're in love with is in love.
Oh, wait a minute. We lost you. Come back.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost your picture, though.
We lost the video.
We lost video.
Hold on. Give me a second.
All right. While he is coming back on.
Well,
I'm looking through. And I've come across I'm going to try another one while we see if we can get him back in. This one is entitled Nasty. I just want her. I got it all together. I'm going to speak my mind just to see what I can find. In the middle of the week, I just need her to be a freak. Charming, sexy, but oh so nasty. Her words can cut like a knife, her beauty ravishing enough, holding in all her glory, only to be held as she reveals her story. A solar eclipse has just shut down my thoughts. Her presence comes bearing gifts. Who knew she was this nasty? See, I can only reveal just a little because she's classy. No one knows her inside like me because I've tasted and felt rhythmically. Her vocal cords, her sexy emotions, a melodic tune in her seduction. Oh, she's so nasty, but she really keeping it classy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that is
yeah,
what is it?
yeah.
The every man's perfect woman, a lady in the streets,
And a freak in the sheets.
or
Yeah,
the freak in the street.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that piece.
And it's sad really, because what our younger ladies are taught by society, they miss out because by the time they finally realize that the ones who want you classy first and then ratchet, those are the ones who you want to be with. Those are the ones who are going to do those things and then still do those other things.
Right.
But we don't teach our young daughters, and because I have daughters and you have daughters,
Yeah.
we don't teach them that. And I think one of the problems that I'm learning as I mature is that we weren't taught. My dad did a great job on teaching me what it's supposed to be to provide, what it's supposed to be to do other things, but it's taken my mother to teach me how to be a man, because
Yeah.
I can't be a man for my dad. He don't know, and it might go back to that a real man, huh?
Yep.
A man can't teach you how to be a man for a woman. You need that womanly guidance to tell you, because sometimes we just pig-headed and ignorant and couldn't get right if we tried.
Right.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
classy but nasty. I like that.
Absolutely. I mean, you know,
For those of you who are tuning in, make sure you drop your name in the comments, because we will be giving away uh, the Ebony Collection Volume 3 in a
yep.
random drawing. So you heard a couple of the credits, a couple of the pieces, excuse me, tonight. So make sure you drop your name in the comments so that way you can be entered into that drawing. Mr. Poetic, Mr. Poetic. For those who do not get, who don't win a copy of the Ebony Collection, where can they purchase this? Where can they purchase the Ebony Collection, volumes 1, 2, and 3?
Absolutely. You can purchase the Ebony Collection on www.lulu. That's LULU.com. That is my publishing site. You certainly can do that. But if you're one of those kinds of individuals who just have to shop on Amazon, I am on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. Or you can just reach me, and I have copies that I can, send to you, Cash App, PayPal, Vimo, Zelle, whatever you got, I got it. You can get an autographed copy. For volume 3, the purchase price is $20. Volume 1 is the first book. That's my first baby. That one is $12. And volume 2 is a hardback cover. It's real fancy looking. It's fancy. When I tell you it's fancy, it's fancy. And I believe that one is discounted right now. I believe it's $25 for that one. I can't remember. I try not to keep up with prices. I just like when the check come, to be honest.
Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Okay.
But yeah, so if you want a copy,
you mentioned volume 2 was hardback. Why did we go hardback with volume 2?
Volume 2 is special. Wow. Volume 2 was written after my first divorce, or during my first divorce, my first wife, I was head over heels for. I mean, head over heels for. So that book has a very special blueprint if you read it. It goes through a wealth of emotions, a wealth of. That one is introducing you to Poetic. That one is entitled Volume 2, The Ebony Collection, The Alter Ego, Poetic. So that's introducing you to me as a poet and owning my name. Whereas Volume 1 is a collection of poems that I wrote since I was 14 up until 24. So it's a unique collection of poetry. And that one is dedicated to the men because, in my opinion, if men read that book, they'll gain insight into, if your dad wasn't around, how to be a man, how to help build another man, how to be there for that woman. It goes through a whole lot of different things. So Volume 1, that's my baby. That's a special book to me. I would never run out of copies of Volume 1 because I love it myself.
Brittany says she's gonna purchase all of them. I'm so slack. Don't shoot her. Don't feel bad, Brittany, because I have Volume 1 and Volume 2. Where's my camera? I have 1 and 3. I'm slack too, apparently, because I don't have Volume 2. I don't understand how that happened. But before you go out and purchase them, drop your name in. We ain't gonna talk about that, little brother. Before you go out and purchase all 3 of them, drop your name in the comments because you might win your very own copy of Volume 3. And I'm about to put you on the spot, big brother. If you win, I will make sure that Poetic autographs it for you.
Absolutely. And if I may, go ahead and do 2 copies. Do 2 winners.
Do 2 winners.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank
So Poetic is saying to do 2 winners. So instead of just 1 copy of Volume 3, we're going to do 2 copies. So make sure you drop your name in the comments. Marcia says that she needs Volume 3. Put your name in the comments and you'll be entered into a drawing. We're going to give away 2 copies of Volume 3, the Ebony Collection, Pain, Suffering, and Pulchritude, from the mind of Poetic.
Just so you know, because somebody is probably wondering, why the heck did he choose the word pulchritude? Why?
I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask. You got pain, you got suffering, and then you got beauty.
Yeah. So pulchritude is my favorite word of the English language. It's my favorite word in the dictionary, period. Reason being is because when I was in high school and I learned the word, I was like, this is amazing. I was a geek, nerd, still is, not ashamed of it. And me and my best friend, when we were doing the music thing, we had it all set, we had it all laid out, and our label was going to be Pulchritude Records. So pulchritude is a very special word to me because it was the start of something. It was the start of something big. So I just kept the word, and I've never not used it. So it's my favorite word. I could have said beauty, but where's the fun in that?
Where's the fun in that? I had to look it up. I was like, wait a minute, what does this mean? So hey Siri, help me out. All right, so we said that our sessions were going to be about an hour, and we are actually going over that because the conversation with you is just phenomenal. Thank you so very much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Before we go, Poetic, I almost want to ask you for something from Volume 4, Volume 5, if you have it ready. And Kwanzaa is thinking along the same lines. Can you please give us one more before we go? Do we have a piece from 4 or 5, or do you want to, what we're spotlighting tonight of Volume 3?
I mean, I can certainly give you a piece from volume 4. Just tell me how.
No,
Do you
no.
want do you want intermediate or do you want extreme?
I say extreme. How'd your wives? How'd your kids? Um,
Oh man.
Before you do, I do have one more question for you before you go. Do you have pieces that don't make it into your books?
I do. I have pieces. Oh man, I've got so many pieces. There are some that don't make it into the book. As a matter of fact, the majority of those pieces are done for a lot of the poetry shows I do. 7 days a week, Epiphany Radio, the For Real Entertainment Network, 9 p.m. every night of the week. I host on Sundays, which is the Inspiration Factory. I host on Mondays, which is the Soul Cafe. I host on Thursdays, which is the Get Down. But we have plenty of other shows that you can tune into. So those pieces often don't make it into my books because I do those for the shows. And we're actually talking about doing my co-host of the Get Down, my brother J. Rob, the wise son. We're actually talking about doing a Get Down, which is the name of the show, the Get Down. We're thinking about doing a Get Down version of a book where we use the pieces that we've written for those shows, all shows last year, and putting them into a book so that, everyone can enjoy those pieces as well. Walter said extreme. Oh my God. How you gonna put me on?
Walter said extreme, and Kamara said go big or go home. So
and Brittany said yes. Finish on the 6th.
So, sir, take us out with something from volume 4.
Wow, you guys are something else. Oh man. Whew.
And my apologies, Carrie. I see Carrie had in the comments to do one of the I love you pieces. So I apologize that we didn't see that one, Carrie, for him to do that.
Yeah, see, the I love you pieces are for book 5. But since you guys want the erotic stuff,
Poetic, before you do that, we've been asked, can you go back over your hosting times and radio shows?
Absolutely.
We got some fans who want to be able to find you.
Absolutely. So Epiphany Radio, the For Real Entertainment Network, the dial-in number is 319-527-6300, and that's Sunday through Saturday at 9 p.m. You can dial in as early as 8:45, but you can also listen online if you don't want to tie up your phone line, and that's www.blogtalkradio.com/EYE, the letter C, and people. And you can listen that way.
You said EYE, the letter C, people?
People.
And that phone number one more time for me, sir?
Is 319-527-6300.
319-527-6300, or online at blogtalkradio.com/IC people, EYEC people. We're going to make sure that we also get that in our comments for those of you so that you can see that as well. We're working on getting that posted now. But if you are ready, sir.
Absolutely. This piece is titled Moisturize Me. Make me your liquid canvas. Spray your juice on me as you wish. Mix your oily hues with mine. Let me taste you like fine wine. Penetrate my skin as you moisturize me again and again. Allow me to be the trees in your rainforest. As you drip down my beard onto my chest, it doesn't matter if you're sweet like pineapple or succulent like a green apple. Those pheromones, see, please moisturize me. Turn me into your wettest portrait. As you squirt and cream looking like some creamy parfait, I'll use my tongue as a spoon, lick and slurp every drop, and soon your orgasmic masterpiece will be complete. Complete and full of earth-shattering pleasure with what a treat. Warm vanilla sugar scents as you release the juice and nectar from your dripping peach, please. Don't stop on my account. I love releasing the floodgates, no doubt. Grab hold of the sheets, hell, grab my head. Whatever you need to grip as I lead you into pure erotic bliss, filled with passion as I kiss. Not just one set of your lips, but both. Moisturize me with exponential growth as I liquefy your dreams and desires, turn them into reality and retire the old ways of thinking your juices were not satisfying. Give me that pure ocean spray so gratifying. As you continue pleasingly, please moisturize me. And that's that piece.